Do you know, like, this is my truth, right? This is what I feel happens. I feel as though we don't, well, unknowingly, I guess, talk about the subtle signs that you're about to be depressed. So I want to talk about depression, and I want to talk about the subtle signs that we normally miss. Early signs that are very easy to miss, and they're very easy to miss because we unknowingly assume that we're always okay or we're always going to be okay. I ended up asking my channel account, I've only got 700 people there helping me out. Well, just got 700 as of a few days ago. So I asked the same question on Instagram, and the responses were very interesting. They all centered around where we normally know what a depression episode looks like or a depressive episode looks like, which is basically not coming out of your room, not eating, not being motivated. People said not picking up your call. People say shutting the world out, being in a dark room, not enjoying the things that once gave you enjoyment. Some people said just wanting to be alone and not wanting to be around family and friends and things like that. So isolation is a big part of depression. We know that. But I want to talk about the other side of depression. The happy side of depression. The side of depression that is not normally connotated with depression. And I honestly feel like we should have these conversations more, because if you look at Instagram, half the people in there, I kid you not, I feel like they are depressed. I want to talk about the subtle signs that people ignore about depression, unknowingly ignore about depression. Let me just say that. But first, a smooth. This video is not a self-help anything. It's just my journey into navigating me, right? And the things that I experience. Excuse me. But I guess most importantly, it's just navigating why sometimes I feel a sense of hopelessness. And I haven't felt like that in such a long time. It's been a good year, I want to say, that I've just been okay. And this is when I started picking up on these subtle cues of every time I wanted to relapse back into the depressive episode, I'm like, oh, what was that I did? The first subtle sign that you might be depressed is that you are overly productive. So you're overly productive, you're overworking, you call yourself a workaholic. You don't want to be present and sit with your thoughts because you're afraid that the moment you do that, things are going to get real and you're going to have to really face some of the things that you've been ignoring. Overproductiveness, especially after a traumatic event, can sometimes be a subtle sign of depression because you don't really want to face your emotions. And if I've learned anything from being a depressed piece of shit last year, sorry, you might not be a piece of shit, but I was, is that I worked so that I don't feel. The second thing that is so common is you latch on to luxury or expensive things. So your sense of worth is now attached to material gains. Material girl. In order to feel validated, or in order to feel like you're important, or in order to feel like you're getting back at someone, you now start purchasing things that are way outside your budget. Sometimes people can generally afford it, but I'm talking about for those of us that are not rolling in $6 million, that just works a 9 to 5, or just works a normal grocery job, or just works a normal job that is not a millionaire, right? You're now spending way more than you earn just because you want to feel something. Sometimes buying luxury items, and I know this whole concept of black girl in luxury, or this whole concept of, living my best life, or manifesting my best life, or I don't dream of labor and la la la. I know that's all a thing, but sometimes we do all those things so that we can't feel. Yeah, I said what I said. And I'm not taking a lot of these things I'm saying. I'm telling you guys because I've been there. I've been there, and it sucks. Another thing that is subtle but is an early sign of depression that we unknowingly ignore is emotional fluctuation. I'm talking one day you were so excited, you're so happy, you're ready to take over the world. And then the next day you just have no motivation to do anything. Zero. You now hate that very thing that you said you wanted to do. But you're not realizing the reason that you wanted to start it in the first place, because you're trying to feel something. Now that you finally started it, you realize that that was not your problem to start with. You're in a funk and you need to find a solution. We start resenting other people's success. I want to let that one marinate for a little bit. Don't be petty. This is really good, actually. So as soon as you start feeling some type of way about people's success, snap out of it. It's not you. That's not who you are. The fifth sign that you might be heading towards a depressive funk. You start projects. Oof, I'm preaching to the choir right now. You start projects, but you don't finish them. Isn't that sad? Like, when you have projects that you start simultaneously even, and people, you guys know, I started a business, I started a talk show, I started this, I started that, I was doing like 50 million things at the same time, but I wasn't focused, right? And this affected my studies so bad. But I didn't know that I was seeking, that goes back to the point I made previously. I was seeking this sense of validation. I was seeking to feel something, you know, and I was filling this void with the wrong things, because these things were costing me money. Starting a business is a resource thing, right? And I didn't know at the time that I was heading towards a depressive episode, a massive one. It lasted a year, right? And I think, listen, I know because I've been here. If you're someone that right now, you are in the middle of like 3-4 projects that are not working, right? These projects are just not working out. Whether you're at uni, right, and you're failing massively, right? And it's not your fault, to be honest, unless you're just lazy, but like, it's really not your fault. Sometimes if here's not working, nothing's working. But if you are constantly starting things and you're not seeing them through, so you're not seeing them to completion, something's wrong. I want to say something's wrong. Something's wrong. You need to sit down and think about it. Completion is such a beautiful thing, and it's a sign that you are bearing fruit. Okay, completion is a sign that you're bearing fruit. Completion is a sign that things are alive in you, right? When things are dying, that means the seed that you're planting, these seeds that you're planting, the new things that you're planting, right? They're not being nourished. They're not being watered. They're not growing, and they're not prospering, and then you're not flowing in your abundance because you're not seeing them through. And I'm talking about this because I was here. This was me for a while. See these lamps? See this lamp? This is a solar powered lamp, right? I put it outside and it gathers the energy from the sun, and at night it lights up, right? If your life, you find it that you don't light up at all after observing all that energy, good energy, you're reading books, you're doing all the right things, right? You're working, you're in a relationship, you're exercising, you're eating right, you're working out, you're going out, you're doing everything. It seems to be theoretically right. But somehow there's a void in you and you're lacking happiness. If you are in a place right now that you are not able to get happiness from the life that you've curated for yourself, or if this is the life that you've always wanted and now you finally have it, but you're still not happy, and happiness is it's not even a subtle sign, it's a huge sign of unfulfillment. You need to readjust. Sometimes you need to literally remove yourself from situations in order to get out of that sense of hopelessness. And unhappiness is a sense of hopelessness because you're not satisfied with your current situation. And what is hopelessness? It's not having hope for the future. Okay? Because you're afraid that things are going to be like this for a long while. Listen, life is too short and it's too precious for that. Subtle signs that you're about to get depressed. And you're too cute to be depressed. I don't care whether you're male or female. You are way too handsome. You're way too beautiful to be in a depressive funk. No one is worth your happiness. Mindset reset. I grew up on once again. Teenagers with too many feelings and rage. We were higher than the ceiling, middle fingers to the sky. I remember thinking if I
could stop the time. Way back when we didn't care what they said. People could stare, I didn't give a damn, 'cause I was being